Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1 p.m. here in Crystal Lake, Illinois. It means it's time for another live stream. Today is Wednesday, December 14th, 2022. There was something I was supposed to do today on the 14th. The 14th is significant for some reason, but I forget what it is, but I'll remember, or someone will let me know later on. But we're here now. Everyone that's listening in on the podcast on the audio-only version, hopefully you're having a good run today. I did go for a run on the treadmill this morning. I'm day like 7 after my first onset of symptoms. And so, but I still tested positive this morning. So I was like, well, I don't want to run outside. So and the daughter, my baby, she's been tested negative, so she's fine. Even though I think I feel better than she does. But anyway, I went out on the treadmill I was going to do an hour. And I was like, all right, this feels like I haven't run in a while. And I'm like, the heart rate was elevated. I'm like, is that heart rate elevated because I'm still like a little bit sick? Or is the heart rate elevated because I haven't run? I ran once. This is my second time running in like 2 weeks. I'm not sure. Either way, I was doing that. And then I was going to go for an hour. And then at 30 minutes, I was like, this is probably a good place to pack it in because my knee started acting a little funny. So yeah, probably, I mean, I guess in a way, a good thing. I've been bored and not able to exercise. So I've been like doing like knee rehab anyway. So like it's something I'm aware of and I've been working on it. So hopefully by like next week, I'll be back to regular training, but not yet for me. Hopefully your guys' knees are all feeling great. And everyone watching the YouTube later, but not live, welcome to you guys as well. Always feel free to put stuff into the comments. And you can still interact with us, even though it's not like in real time. All right, let's see who we got in the chat here today. We got Eliza says, hi, Co-Fam. Hope everyone's well. Very chilly Boston Hills run this morning. 2,400 feet of elevation. That's a lot. My eyelashes kept freezing together because I was tearing from the wind. Oh, boy. That sounds like not that great. Not that great. For me, whenever my contacts start getting like gummy, I'm like, oh boy, what happens if a lens freezes to your cornea? I'm like, I don't know. This is not a good thing. And that always makes me nervous. I am excited. I haven't gotten them yet, but when I was at the Smith Optical booth, they said they were going to send me some frames and they had that ski goggle looking sunglass, which I feel like it protects like a ski goggle, but it wasn't so snug to the eyes. And I think that's going to help with some of the extra fogging that I get when I run in ski goggles. So maybe I feel like this is the product that we all need to know about, right? Maybe I'll just hurry up and buy it if it's on the market already. Because maybe it's not out yet, but I need it soon. Martha says, Serious Runner has a funny new video out today. Shoe review. I saw that. Was it like Nimbus Light 1 after 450 miles? I'll have to take a look. I saw that it went up, but I didn't have time to watch it today. But I definitely will get to it. TriStar G says, how you feeling? Hope you're feeling better. I feel fine. I've been feeling the same as I always do. Sleep metrics are still, they're like, at some point, the sleep metrics are just going to start going down because I can't get much better. Although I would say my sleeping heart rate is still a little bit elevated, maybe 4 or 5 beats elevated. Yesterday it was like 56. Usually it's like 52, 51 when I'm sleeping well. Sometimes 48s. But like respiration rate, tiny bit elevated, but in the 13s, mid 13, which is normal. And then beat to beat interval was over 1,000 milliseconds, which is good for me. And then heart rate variability was high. So it's like all signs pointing to like I'm ready to rock. But when I did get on the treadmill today, I felt just like a little bit off, So I'm like, all right, the numbers aren't everything. So like, I'm not going to rush. Although I am getting very nervous because Tokyo is like fast approaching. Like this week is week 12, and so I'm already like, all right, well, I'm looking at this plan that I have. I'm going to do the Jack Daniels plan again. And week 10 is like a cut down week. So I'll just skip the cut down week. And so I'm not missing out too much. I don't know. Tav says, orale, running on the treadmill later. Too big for breakfast earlier. That's okay. But if you're like ultra training, that's like, oh man. I feel like, does anyone ultra training intentionally overeat and then hop right on the treadmill? I've accidentally like eaten a giant burrito and then gone for a run. I'm like, this was not a great idea, but I suppose this is good training for something. All right. Let's see. Eric Perriman says, that's a good way to start. What was that thing with the guy at the time I'm supposed to remember? Yeah, I don't know. I still don't know. You know what I think it was? I had scheduled like a bunch of videos, like in my mind, I'd mapped out like 4 or 5 videos ahead. And like I think what it is I had scheduled a bunch of videos to come out on the 14th. And so like, had I not gotten sick, I think like the race recap video would have gone out today. But I spent this morning looking a little bit at the race recap video, but I think I'm just going to like kind of go on the fly on that one. I'm just going to like kind of go through my data and see what I see. But I need to do like a little bit of a flyby, just like run through it real quick on a detailed level first. And then I also started work on the Polar Ignite 3 review video, which is not going to be glowing, but it's not a product for me. You know, like if you look at the website for the Polar Ignite 3, it's all women, like on in all the product shots and stuff. And so I'm like, and they're not running. You know, so it's like, okay, but it's not not that I have to see a man to be able to use a running watch, but like they're clearly targeting a different audience with it. But yeah. PG says, Heiko just bought the Super Blast. Hope you enjoy them. It was funny. I watched 40's video where he had both me and Thomas and Megan on. And yeah, like, I think we talked about it a little bit yesterday on the live stream too, but it was just like, yeah, I like it at marathon pace. Megan likes it for a little bit of everything. I didn't realize it was like the one and only one shoe that she brought to Austin. I brought 4 pairs of shoes out. Well, I had to race afterwards too. So the shoes that I brought to, and I brought to Austin / Sacramento, were I brought the Salomon Phantasm, because I was going to do the Take the Bridge. And they had sent me the shoes specifically so I could wear them for the Take the Bridge. So Salomon Phantasm, Glide Ride 3s. I had my casual shoe that I was going to wear that Greg made. And then I had a pair of Saucony Triumph 20s and then the Super Blast. And then I picked up a pair of Hyperion Max and then another pair of shoes that I won't name them, but I left those in Austin on purpose. But yeah, yeah, I had a lot of shoes on that trip. All right. Ray's here. He says, Heiko family down with the cold, but negative for COVID. Hopefully it stays that way. Knock on wood. Yeah. Hopefully you're okay. And let's see. Yeah, CV76 says busy at work, so I missed the COVID news. I'm feeling better. I'm still testing positive, but it's lightly positive now, at least on the test. Before, like the moment I sandwich the thing together, you know, and that's the kind that I have. It makes the COVID lollipop, that one. As soon as I sandwich together, it would be like boom, like super dark line of positive. This time it like took the whole 15 minutes before I could see a faint line. Now I know that doesn't mean I'm like more or less sick, but at least it feels like progress a little bit. But I did go for a run today, Stevie, and that felt, I don't know, it felt like I've only run twice in 2 weeks. Is what it felt like. Heart rate was a little bit high given the pace, but like I was running with the Polar Pacer Pro and the Stride Foot Pod, and the treadmill was showing like 10-minute miles. And there were times when the watch was showing me like 8:15s. And I was like, this is very, very different. Like, this is a world of difference. I'm like, I don't know what's going on here. And I'm like, is my Stride dead? My Stride might be dead. I don't keep it like charged anymore, you know? So I'm like, I don't know what's happening here. Like maybe the Stride is just like sputtering in and out somehow, or I don't know how the batteries work on that thing. My Stride is also like 4 years old, so who knows? Adam says that Matt from Doctors of Running picked the Super Blast as his daily trainer of the year. So I always feel like, I'm like, people like the Super Blast. That's great, you know? But I'm like, because I like that shoe a lot. And sometimes brands experiment and it stinks, like the Hoka 10.9. But like sometimes brands experiment and you like want more of it, like the Primex. You know, Super Blast I think is kind of in that space too, and I want like more experiments. You know, I want more innovation. I want more to get things to get pushed. And But I'm like, I don't think it's a daily trainer. But people are picking it as a daily trainer. And it's interesting that Matt picked it because he's a fast, powerful runner, but a smaller guy. See, it makes sense when like Drew Whitcomb tells me he likes it as a daily trainer because like, okay, you got like 50 pounds on me. You're like 30% heavier than I am. That makes sense. Bigger guy wants more shoe, taller guys as well. Like that makes sense. But then like Megan likes it as like a daily trainer, do it all shoe. And I'm like, why don't I like it? I mean, I think it's fine as a daily trainer. I just feel like there's other shoes that daily train better. You know what I mean? So I guess like if you're saying which is the better duck, like swims a little, flies a little, waddles a little, I do think that the Super Blast can be pretty good, but I'm like, what is this shoe great at? Why would I pay $220 for it? Because it does marathon pace really well. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at it wrong. Many people have been telling me I've been looking at that shoe wrong, so it's very possible. Luke Klein says, I think Brooks has lost high-end market share to other companies. Hyperion Max and Hyperion Elite were dogs right out of the box. I haven't tried the Hyperion Max yet. It's still sitting over there. I haven't even filmed it. It's still got its like stickers and stuff on, or like its tags and stuff on it. So like, maybe I should have ran on the treadmill with it today. I don't know. I don't like to do a first run on the treadmill. And I don't want to do my first run on it when I'm like potentially legs are feeling groggy. So I'm going to have to wait on that one. Same with the Adizero SL, which I'm very excited to try. Where is that shoe? Where did I put it? I don't see it. Oh, I see it. It's over there. So I'm really excited to try those shoes. It's just got to get there soon. Maybe next week. All right. I think that the Hyperion Elite, though, going back to that point, where is it, Lou? Is that the Hyperion Elite, I want that shoe to be good. I really do. I like nitro foams. I've had a rocky history with the Hyperion Elite, I guess. You know what? It's starting to sound like I'm just a real grouchy guy, and I'm holding grudges like all across the shoe industry. Like I've been throwing some light shade at Adidas. I've been angry at Brooks. I've been holding a grudge against Skechers. Like I feel like I got to stop doing that. So I want the Hyperion Elite to do well. I didn't even want to bother with the Hyperion Elite 3. So maybe there's a Hyperion Elite 4 that's coming. That's going to be a little bit more enticing. That's what I hope. I haven't seen a Hyperion Elite 4, so I don't know. Stevie's calling me an elite grudger. I mean, elite crank. That might be it. But when you guys, Martha says, I always do a first run on treadmill so I can easily return the shoes if they don't work. That's a good idea. Matthias says he does the same thing. First run on the treadmill. You know what always happens to me? Whenever I do a first run, I always end up getting like mud on the shoe. Like it used to be more notable back when I like didn't get as many shoes or didn't buy as many shoes. And I was like, well, if it doesn't work, I really want to send it back. But it would be like within 6 steps, boom, I accidentally stepped in a mud puddle, or like a car would drive by and splash road muddy water on me. It would without fail. All the other days running, fine, dry conditions, unless I wanted to get in the water. But like if it's a brand new shoe, boom, something that stained right away. Al H says, I thought I was a Saucony gal, but I've been trying out New Balances and am falling in love. Can't wait to try the Rebel 3s. Yeah. Saucony had a really good year last year. New Balance, I think, had a better year last year. Here's the interesting thing. Here's what I think is really fascinating with Saucony and New Balance specifically. So Saucony has had the Endorphin Speed. The 1, 2, and 3 have been great. I like it as a workout shoe. But people have been, and I ran a 50 or like a 30 mile FKT attempt in those. And it worked out well. So like people have been using it like a little bit slower than marathon paces. Some people even use it as a daily trainer. Although I think the Speed 3 does really good at 5K pace. But like, so people have been using it not as intended as a speed shoe, but instead of using it as a daily trainer. And it annoyed Saucony enough that they're coming out with this Kinvara Pro, which is supposed to be like if you want like a speedy-ish shoe, but that you could do daily training in, try the Kinvara Pro. Why it's still called a Pro and a daily trainer makes no sense to me. But that aside, so that's one way Saucony's going. They're trying to protect their speed shoe and keep it a speed shoe so that they don't have to worry about like kind of like serving two different audiences. They're trying to say like, all right, everyone that wants the daily trainer, get the Kinvara Pro. Everyone that wants a speed workout shoe to companion, go along with the Endorphin Pro 3 or Endorphin Pro 4, I guess. Endorphin Speed's for you, right? Opposite things happening with New Balance. The Rebel 3, for me, has always been a really great speed shoe. Version 1, version 2, I thought were fantastic speed shoes. They had low to the ground, really great responsiveness, like in terms of like road feel, like response, like feeling the road. I guess I'm using the word responsiveness in two bad ways here. But like really getting a real sense, like connection to the road and or whatever surface you're running on. I liked it. You could use it for the track. You could use it for your road workouts too. But they never liked it that way. New Balance has apparently always wanted to make that a daily trainer. Why? When they already have the 880 and they had the Beacon? I don't know, but they always wanted to make the Rebel a daily trainer. And this year for version 3, they made Rebel 3 a really great daily trainer. You can still also do really good workouts in it too. I think it's a very versatile shoe. Probably my number 2 shoe on the year, but like as far as daily trainers go. But like it's weird that like they both had a similar shoe and they went opposite directions in where they want it to go, you know? But yeah, the Rebel 3s are a lot of fun. Are they on sale yet? It's been out for a little while. Stevie76 says, would a company deny a return if it's worn or dirty? I don't think so. Most places would be like, you know, like 30 days, no questions asked kind of thing. But I just think I would feel, I'm so like anti-conflict that like I would not want the specter of someone saying like, we can't take this back, it's too dirty, or you used it too much, like would be enough to make me just like, oh, I guess this is my shoe now. That's kind of how I feel about it. So yeah. Eric says, doing the treadmill tests first as the first run on a shoe is a good idea. I need to do that more often. It is a good idea. Maybe that is a better way of testing out a shoe, because then I have like consistent surface, everything controlled. Temperature is going to be pretty much the same year round. Surface is the same. I don't know. I just dislike treadmill running so much. I don't want to do more of it than I have to. Luke Klein says the grouchy run review is anti-conflict. Yeah, I think you could be anti-conflict and grouchy at the same time. You know, I think that's why I'm grouchy, because I like get annoyed by something, and rather than solve a problem that's easily solvable and that people would relish the opportunity to make something right, you know, like that they say in business and like retail, like a bad customer experience should be an opportunity to show them what great customer service you can do, and that could be even better than a smooth transaction. You know, like that I don't want to give anyone the chance to fix a problem, because I just don't want to have to be like, I didn't like this. Like I've never sent food back at a restaurant before. I don't think ever. Yeah, never. I don't think I've ever done that. I would never do that. Martha says, I'm like you about returns, so that's why I try to get a better idea indoors to lower the chance of non-elite customer service interaction. That's so funny. Eric says, I hate treadmills, but for the record. But for day 1-2 testing, it's smart. But I will have to hit the Stairmaster occasionally this coming early spring. Yeah, you got a lot of hills coming up in your future. That'll be fun to see. Raj Kumar Ashinji says, Coach K, you sound better. Hope you and Believe in the Run will have a Tokyo podcast. Question, your thoughts on Apple Series 8 versus Apple Ultra? Thanks. We should have a Tokyo podcast. Maybe I should have those guys on regular, because, you know, they talk about their running all the time every week in the drop. And I talk about my running every week. But maybe we should have them on. Maybe I should try and get someone from their team on regularly to see how they're going. And we can talk a little bit more in depth, because I feel like they always like touch it really quickly because they're trying to cover so much in their weekly podcasts. So that's a good idea. I mean, kind of, I don't know. Is that something you guys want? Yeah, I think we can do that. And as far as Series 8 and Ultra, I haven't tested either of those watches. I don't plan on testing the Apple Watch Series 8. I did test the Apple Watch, the SE, the new SE that came out, because I had an Apple Watch 4, and I have the Apple Watch SE 2022. I don't know what version that is. They don't number the SEs. And then I think I'm going to buy an Apple Watch Ultra soon because it's getting colder now. So like I feel like it's a real actual test, you know. I asked Hella about it because I'm like, have you gotten that thing like for real cold? Because like that's the thing I'm worried about. Like for me, the Apple Watch just dies. It gets cold outside, and then like I still use my Apple Watch as like a phone, a running phone. And so I'll have my regular running watch do the running stuff, and then the Apple Watch do the Apple Watch stuff. Listen to a podcast, listen to an audiobook, listen to music, things like that. And then sometimes it's like I'll be on a long run, and if it's cold enough, like under 20 degrees Fahrenheit, if I'm out there long enough, even though it's covered by a sleeve and a glove, like let's say a podcast ends and I try to do a Siri command, like, you know, play Believe in the Run, play podcast, Believe in the Run. I have to say, like, the drop podcast is hard to listen to because like Siri can never understand when I'm saying the drop. So I hold my earbud, the Siri sound comes up, and I say, play podcast The Drop by Believe in the Run. And it always gives me so many weird things. If I just say The Drop, who knows what I'm going to get. So I feel like they need to maybe rethink the name of their podcast. But like if I try to switch and make it do something else, it'll just like die. I don't know why. So I'm hoping the Apple Watch Ultra doesn't do that. Now I suspect that my Apple Watch SE probably won't have that problem in year one. It's like year two that's the problem. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's a very specific test. And I'm like, is it fair to have to like complain about a watch that dies on the second year? I think especially in the Apple Watch Ultra, if it's 2 years old and at $800, yes. So we'll see. I'll test it soon, but I haven't tested it yet. Matthias says a Tokyo pod is a must. All right. Well, we'll do. I'll run the idea by them, see what they want to do. I think we need to get a little bit more detail on what we're doing, you know, first. So, our main contact person that we normally work with is on his honeymoon. So, I promised that I wouldn't email anyone. If I email anyone at the A6 team, then they always send it up to him, and then I'll get like so like when he got married, they did like a little mini honeymoon, but it was like during World Championships and stuff, or like right around that time in the summer. So yeah, they did like a very brief trip, and then this is their big honeymoon. And like I got a text message from him like at the airport, and I'm like, I specifically emailed the other persons that way no one would bother you during your like mini honeymoon. And he's like, oh, I'm just at the airport. I'm like, no, I'll talk to you when you get back. So like I saw them, all the A6 people in Austin and TRE, and like I knew that after that week he was going on his honeymoon. So like now I have kind of like questions about Tokyo, but I don't want to email anyone at A6 because then he's going to be like, yeah, I just saw like he posted like a I don't want to get too much in detail, but like it was fantastic. The images that I saw of like where they're at, and I'm like, I don't want you responding to a text from me when you're on a mountaintop with your wife. So like, I'm just not going to even, I have many questions, but they can all wait. So once I figure out some of those details, then we can, then maybe I'll talk to Believe in the Run and we could do some sort of joint collab event. It's going to be fun. Eliza says, I've killed my Garmin before when it was -10. I realized I had to keep it under my jacket after that. Ooh, I've never killed like a proper running watch, like a Polar, Garmin, Coros. Like they've never died on me. Even when I had like now these days I don't run in the same watch for like more than a year, so that's like a skewed sample. Like if I'm going to be fair, apples to apples, Apple Watch in the first year doesn't die on me in the winter either. But even when I had Garmin watch, like the same watch for years, like I had the Garmin Vivo Active 3 for several years, never died. Only Apple Watches die on me. But I suppose it could happen. Eliza, if you've killed your Garmin, I suppose it's possible. See, this is what you guys think I listen to? Hey, CV76 says, "Hey Siri, play Celine Dion." But the the proper Siri call for that, it would be, "Hey Siri, shuffle artist Celine Dion." So that way you're not just getting the same stuff. If you say shuffle artist, then you're playing the artist, but it shuffles it and gives you like a mix of their songs. That's what you got. Eric says, "Hey Siri, cancel that request." I don't know how to cancel a request. Sometimes it'll be like working on it, and I'll just be like, "Siri, stop it. Never mind." Like I'll just like have to like keep saying stuff. And eventually it's like, "Sorry, I couldn't do that." And I'm like, "I know, so stop." Sometimes I get frustrated with Siri. I'm pretty polite though. I usually say thank you whenever Siri does something. Although I don't need to, but just so that way when the robot overlords take over, they'll be like, "That guy, he's always been nice to us." Matai says, "I think the second Apple Watch Ultra will be the one to get if you get one." Yeah, I feel like this first one, like it's bigger. I'm a little guy, so I don't need bigger. It has another button, which I appreciate. But the problem, and like, yes, the default apps now are getting good enough that I don't really find myself compelled to get another app. Although like Work Outdoors is probably still the best one, or iRun 26.2. But the problem is because iOS is so regimented, you can't, in it as an app developer, I don't think that you can remap what buttons do, or you're limited in what remapping you can do. So like, yeah, there's technically like 3 buttons on the Apple Watch. There's the crown, and then there's one on each side now on the Apple Watch Ultra. But I think that it's very limited in terms of what you're allowed to do. So you can't really make it function exactly like you would think like a 5-button watch on a running watch would do. But I mean, I guess I got to figure that out. There's only one way to find out. So, by the way, speaking of Apple Watch Ultra and Hella, I've been messaging Hella. We're going to try and find a way to make a celebrity Pro-Am 4x4 actually happen. So we're going to work on that. So I was like, "Do you know anyone at USATF?" He's like, "Maybe we should go back to some of the brands that we work with and see if they're willing to put something on." So I don't think he knows anyone at USATF. But I was like, Trials of Miles usually does that celebrity mile. Maybe we can make it a celebrity Pro-Am 4x4. Get everyone to go to Randall's Island in New York for that meet that they do every year. That'd be kind of fun. So we're gonna try to make that happen. I'm also, speaking of other collabs, but that's like a pipe dream. I don't know if that'll actually happen or not, but I like Hella, and we've been talking about trying to do something together for years now. So hopefully next year that happens. Lauren the Hote. I'm trying to remember. It rhymes with boat. Lauren the Hote says, "Believe in the run, yes, and especially if Megan, she really gets a word in edgewise, and I think a lot of us would love to hear more about her training." I don't listen to Fuel for the Soul, to be honest. Even though I love both Megans, Featherston and Murray. I should probably listen to it more. Does anyone here listen to that? Does she talk more about her training there? Because I do feel like she does not get a word in edgewise. Because I feel like if there's like a podcast set up and Robbie's there, Robbie is he's just like a pig in a trough, let's say. He's just very comfortable there, and he's just so happy. And it's like him. It's him in his element, and it's really fun to watch. When we were in that studio at Oregon, University of Oregon let us borrow one of their like radio broadcasting booths, and they were like, "Do not hit this button. If you hit this button, all the mics in here will go live and start broadcasting on the radio frequency." And Robbie's like, "Which button?" And he's like, "This one." And he's like, "Oh, okay." He got really tempted, but he sits in this booth and he's like, "This is bringing me back. This is bringing me back to college." And so I think that's a big reason why Megan can't get a word in edgewise. It's just because like Robbie's just having so much fun. Not that he's doing anything wrong. I love Robbie, but 3 people is a lot to have on a podcast sometimes, but they manage it really well. And she's like in like a comedic ensemble. She's like the straight man, you know? So like a very useful dynamic. If it was just Thomas and Robbie, I don't know if that would work. It'd be too much, maybe. Top says, coldest I ever ran in was like 6 or 7 degrees Fahrenheit. Oof, too cold. We'll do the teens as low as I'll go. Seth DeMore wears an Arctic parka for runs when it's in 30s. Like 30, like negative 30s, you mean? I know Seth has a lot of snow gear. This year, just because I haven't been through a winter here yet in Crystal Lake, and I suspect it's a lot like winters in New Vienna, Iowa, where it's a little bit actually colder than Chicago itself. Because Chicago, the city, I feel like has, heat. And also like it's closer to the lake, so I feel like to an extent the lake can buffer some of that. Lake, bodies of water are temperature buffers. But although sometimes the wind whips over the lake when it's frozen. So, I mean, maybe it will or won't be colder here, but I'm expecting it to be colder. So I just spent a lot of this morning looking at more Gore-Tex Infinium jackets, Polar Tech filling jackets, and like the Polar Tech Alpha stuff. Oh, so good. And I did just buy a snowboarder's jacket because I was like, I'm going to go for it. If snowboarders are going to be out there in the snow for like 8 hours at a time, like that's a jacket that I think will work for me. So I got one of those. So we'll see. We'll see what I end up running in this winter. Sean Zevlin says, maybe I'm missing something, but did Running Warehouse stop listing weights of shoes in the specs? I didn't notice that. But I have noticed that they used to be my source for stack heights. And I was like, no matter what, Running Warehouse usually has the stack height. And so that way I'm pulling it from the same one source every time. Because I thought at one point, they told me that they measured it themselves. I think they stopped doing that a long time ago too. But I also think that they've stopped listing stack heights, which I think ultimately is right. You know what I mean? Because like it's somewhat misleading today to have, I think what I've been arguing for a long time is that like people place too much emphasis on stack height, and more important, like heel drop was the bigger thing that was a problem for me because of the way that foams are different. Like 30 millimeters of like Phylon foam, which I don't think there was ever a 30 millimeter Phylon foam, is different than 30 millimeters of ZoomX, right? And so like those would be completely different shoes, even though they're the same stack height. So it's like, doesn't make sense to list that as a stat when it's largely misleading. And so like, the thing is, I really don't like it when brands do like, this is our like max, middle, and least cushioned, I feel like that's not that helpful either, but like if you don't have stack heights, you got to have something else. So I think that's like probably better. But I also think that like all brands and all retailers, I think, need to do a better job of explaining like what a shoe's for, instead of saying this shoe can be for everything from wearing it around to the gym to your hardest workouts. Everything that you need to do, you can do this one shoe. Like half the shoes that are on the market kind of have that exact same description or something very similar to it. And I think that doesn't help anybody. Neither the shoe wearer or the shoe company. You know what I mean? Because like if you buy that and you think if you buy, say, a Rebel version 2, which I thought was a really good speed day shoe, and you looked at the description and saw that it was a great everyday shoe and then didn't have a good experience with it, you're going to be like, oh, New Balances don't work for me, right? So maybe you got the one sale, but you missed out on the lifetime of sales, right? And so I just feel like, I feel like it's better to get away from some of these things that are maybe misleading. So like stack heights, but weights though, that's pretty important. I feel like that's a good thing that I need to know. And again, it can be relative. Like what's heavy for a max cushion shoe is not heavy or what's heavy for like a daily trainer is not heavy for a max cushion, and I use them differently and I care about weight a little bit differently, but this should be something that they have. Sometimes brands don't give me a lot of information. Now, Running Warehouse is a little bit different because they're a retailer too. So they get different kinds of information than I do. And they also have like people whose job it is to follow up with brands and get that information. Whereas if someone doesn't send it to me, I'm just like, all right, I guess I don't have that information. I can't get it. I never follow up. Rarely follow up. So, but that's weird if they stop. But I would be surprised if that was like a blanket policy that they did. I'm guessing it might just be for maybe a couple of brands. I don't know. I'll look into that. Martha says, I agree 100% heel drop, aka toe drop. Is that therefore an oxymoron? And weight interact with other factors, but if you're going to list specs, list them all. I suppose it's true. You know, it's getting harder because it's like things that I care about more. What I care about more than heel drop is how much of a rocker there is. How much does that shoe taper at the front? You know what I mean? Like, I love a good Hoka rocker, but I feel like on other brands, I don't like them that much. And I found like most of the shoes that have like rockers that you can really feel, what I feel is that there's not enough cushion in the forefoot. And I don't like it. And I'm like, yeah, this has got 38 millimeters in the back, but where I land on this shoe, it feels like it's 16, 15 millimeters. It's not enough, you know? So like, I feel like that on the SC Trainer. Great shoe. That's why I like it for like easy days, like slower than marathon and even into recovery pace, because I like it in the back and the cushion, but the way that thing rocks up front and the low plate position, it just makes it feel like there's not a lot of foam up front. I feel like I'm landing on that little rubber pad that protects the carbon fiber plate. And it's just not as great for me as the rest of the experience is, you know? I do like that upper though, the knit upper, and they're changing that for version 2. So I'm a little bit, I know that's going to be the biggest gripe that this grouchy runner will have for SC Trainer version 2. That I missed the original upper. It just seems like all the things that I really like, everyone else dislikes. I like knit uppers. I like it when there's just a lot of cushion under the forefoot and not that much rocker. But like, no one else seems to like. Well, that's not true. But it seems I'm seeing trends that are going away from some of the things I like. Lucas H says, I work for a clothing company and I love hearing about how Co views the product copy. It's stuff we always talk about. I love it when we play the name Guess That Shoe using the copy on the website. That's amazing. See, that's good to know. I'm glad that like you're saying that you love talking about that and you always talk about it, because I think it's so important. But like I do feel like there's some brands where I just feel like it's like my suspicion is that like they've got these shoes, they spend a weekend with a company that writes product copy, consultants. They explain all the shoes to them, explain what some of the commercial objectives are in terms of who they want to sell it to and how they want to sell it, how they want to product position it, all that stuff. And I feel like, 2 weeks later, they get back all this ad copy. And so I feel like the people who make the shoe aren't writing the copy. And I know that those are two very different skill sets, but I feel like there needs to be a closer connection to those sometimes. That's my theory. I could be wrong on that. Eric thinks that the new Puma shoe should be called Doug. They should be actual names. Like the Asics Albert, or like the Nike Gym. Actually, that sounds nice. Nike Gym sounds nice. Martha says rocker should definitely be included. I just don't know how you measure it. You know what I mean? I think it's getting to the point where I have to buy some calipers. But it's hard even then, because like, how do you measure a forefoot without tearing apart a shoe? And I just don't want to be in the business of doing that. Because a lot of the shoes have insets. Now you're sitting in a cup, like you're sitting in it a little bit. So it's not flat. So even if I measured it from the outside, that's not an accurate depiction of what's going on inside. Like my foot goes in it, I don't know. Aldavina says, watch your recap. I'm pretty sure I'll make the jump to New Balance Fresh Foam More version 4 from Hoka for Daily Trainer. Need to test it out. I mean, both are great. I have the Bondi 8s. I think that's the best Bondi they've ever made. Really nice rocker on that one. I do like the rocker on that shoe. I like rockers, I think, on easy shoes. But I do think that the More does it a little bit better. Steamy76 says, I like big rockers and I cannot lie. That's fun. Lou Klein says, rockers are changing shoes. Oh, that I agree. I just think that there's too much of it in a lot of shoes that don't need them, you know. Eric says, knit uppers make sense for racing grandma. Zing. That's funny. I like that. That's good. Yeah, Martha says, name shoes like dogs or people. So some shoe names, if we're naming them after like dogs or people, shoes that names that I would like. Rupert. I think Albert would be a good one. Jim, I think, is a given. I do like Doug. I feel like Doug would be a good trail shoe name. If we're going to name them after women, I would really like Barbara. Like a super grippy trail shoe. Like you just call it Barb, you know? Or Barbie. Barbara. I would like that one. I think I would like a Gladys. And maybe Angela. Oh, man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dad Reynolds says you get a Fat Albert, you get a Max Cushion. There you go. If you just name it Al, it's a Max Cushion shoe. Everyone figures out what to do with it. That way you don't run into any trademark problems. Would you? I'm actually not sure. As long as the commercial's not like, hey, 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 you know. Shannon says, if Ko gets a caliper, the really big shoe nerds would try to critique him. Yeah, and I'm just trying to stay away from all that, you know. I've worked in a lab before, and I am not the most meticulous person. So, like, me measuring things. Did I tell you guys about the time I almost got a job at Monsanto, and my job was going to be to count seeds? I think it was in retrospect, I should have taken the job. But, I felt like I was too good for it. I was a biology major. I'm better than counting seeds for an internship position that was temporary, like a contract position. But it probably would have led to another job, you know. But, because it wasn't like a temp to hire, but it probably would have got me there. But yeah, I could have ended up working at Monsanto. I guess maybe that's good that I didn't. I don't know. I go both ways on that as a biologist. All right. Mace Windex says, which is soft? I always love this. Whenever I see this picture, it's so funny. Mace Windex wants to know, which is softer, Velocity Nitro 2 or Deviate Nitro 2? I haven't had the Deviate Nitro 2, so I can't say. The Velocity Nitro 2 is good, but it falls for me in the workhorse category, where like it reminds me a lot of like a Cumulus. Reminds me a lot of like not this year's 880, but last year's 880. You could tell there's a good foam in there, but you can also tell there's a lot of rubber on the outsole, and the shoe's going to last you a long time. You're going to be able to beat it up. So that's kind of how I feel about the Velocity Nitro 2. So when I think of soft, I don't think of that necessarily. If we're talking about the Deviate Nitro 1, I also don't think that shoe's very soft either. I feel like this year they've gone and tweaked all of the foams in the Nitro line so that they're all a little bit softer. So like last year's Deviate Nitro 1 was a little bit on the dense side for me. I think that they've fixed that for Deviate Nitro 2. So I would probably say the Deviate Nitro 2 is probably the softer one, but I haven't actually tried it myself. So we'll see if Puma ever ends up sending me one. But yeah, so I can't say for sure. You guys are just listening a whole bunch of names in the chat for shoe names. That's really funny. Stevie76 said, "Do you name dogs with human names?" I see that a lot. I think a lot of people are doing that. I used to always joke with my nieces and nephews that I was going to name a dog after one of them, because then I could be like, oh look, and, like none of my nieces, my dog's name was Buddy, so we'll just use Buddy, so we don't have to use my nieces and nephews' names. But then I could be like, oh look, Buddy peed on the carpet, and that'd be funny, right? But none of the nieces and nephews thought that was funny, and none of them thought I was seriously going to do it either. Never went far with that one. Mason Index says, name shoes after race horses, or like if they named them after that. I mean, that's kind of where we're at already, right? Like Fresh Foam X More version 4 Trail, right? So like I feel like racehorse names, if you know racehorse pedigrees, the names tell you a lot, right? I think that's my understanding, because they're usually like named like apart from the mother and father. I don't know. Maybe they're not. I don't know. Carrie Smith says, please no calipers or durometer nonsense. I think durometer is the weirdest one, because the way that durometer is measured, like I feel like durometer should be something that you can no longer measure once the foam is in a shoe. Does that make sense to you? Because I feel like the way it's measured is like you hold the shoe and then you like poke it with this durometer tool, the durometer. Uh-oh. Did I lose a camera already? That thing started out with 100% battery when I started out. I don't know what's going on with that thing. I think all my camera batteries are like dead. I think that's a problem. And so I feel like that's a weird way to measure like softness of a material when it's already like in the shoe. Because like, for example, I looked at the Reebok Float Ride Zig when I was at TRE. And because of the way it's cut, when you do the squeeze test, squeezing the Charmin, which I also think is a very rudimentary, if not misleading test to do on the softness of shoes. But when I did squeeze it, it feels softer than the Float Ride Energy, right? Even though it's the same foam. So like, same foam, different softnesses, apparent softnesses. And I feel like the durometer would it be the same, even though the foam is exactly the same? So that's why I feel like it's kind of weird. Like, I want to know what the foam is, not the foam as applied. If it's applied, if it's in the shoe, let me try it on and run in it. That'll tell me everything I need to know. And I don't need a number. A number would be interesting, but like, I don't know. We're getting into the nitty gritty of like reviewing technique here. Lucas Edge says, "Co, your theory on how product copy works is exactly right. Oh, we tried to have the designers write the copy, and it also failed miserably. I cannot figure out how to make the copy better." All right. Well, I'm glad that I've got a good sense of how it works. But yeah, maybe there needs to be more consultants that have more like, in the community running experience, connection. Maybe they do. I don't know. I have a feeling that another side of that is the consulting firm comes in and writes all the copy, and then the brand is like, wait, we need to change these words. And so you've got like something that no one's happy with a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, how do you make the copy better? I have no idea. I mean, I can't do it in the amount of words. As much as I make fun of product copy, I can't do it in the amount of words and space that they have. I can't do it in less than an 8-minute video, which is probably like 4,000 words. You know what I mean? And they're trying to do it in like 200. So it's a tough skill for sure. And it's easy to lampoon, but I will ultimately concede that it's a very tough job. Frank says the copy should get quotes from reviewers like in the movies. Squishy 5 stars, Ed Bud. Worth the Earth credits from Ed Bud. That'd be fun. Matt's here, says, Yoko, what's going on? Nice. And Stevie 76 says Charmin squeeze. Yeah. You got to squeeze so two things that annoy me when I see other people do them, and it's fine. People got to approach the shoe a lot of different ways, right? When you have a cold read on a shoe, like someone hands you a shoe, you don't know what it is, you're not familiar with it, you're just trying to like understand what it is. You know, you're trying to like feel it, and if you don't get a chance to run in it, then you're trying to like figure out like what is this, right? I look at a lot of shoes, and I actually like doing a cold read. I don't like to get a lot of information beforehand, and I like to let the shoe kind of tell me what it is, but it's hard when you don't get to actually put it on your feet, right? So like things that I see people do, they do the squishy test. They like see how like flexible is it, and then I feel like they're breaking the shoe. I'm like, don't do that to the shoe. When they do that, how much can you make the toes like flip back over onto like the tongue? I hate that, but people do that all the time. The twisty test, people do that one too, which I think is a little bit more useful because like that gives you an idea of like torsional stability, like how neutral is this shoe, and then like squeezing the Charmin. I always think it's pretty fun. Or you'll see like people like they'll grab like knuckle and thumb on the heel and see how much they can squeeze and deflect it in the back. You know, people are doing all those sorts of things, which I'm just like, I don't know, guys. It's interesting, but like my foot being in the shoe, especially like, you know, when you're landing on it, that's multiple times your body weight. Boom, in the shoe. That's a little different than what I'm doing there. It'd be like trying to like, it's as useful, I think, as literal kicking tires at a car. So, I mean, those are things that all people do, and it's normal stuff. I just don't know how useful it is. So, just got to put it on, I guess. I mean, yeah, we all do it, Martha. I'm not saying it's wrong to do that. I've done it too. I've always kind of like, I usually do it with carbon shoes. I'll like put the end of it on the table and be like, how stiff is that carbon? That Transport X, the walking shoe with a carbon fiber plate, very stiff. I don't know how that's going to work. But yeah, there's a lot of shoes where you're just like, I'll just jam on the heel, have the front of the shoe on the table, and I'll just jam on it to see if I can bend the carbon at all. So a lot of shoes, the Rocket X2, also very, very stiff. So yeah, those are the only two shoes I think I did that to the entire time. And for squeezing the Charmin, okay, let's see. Squeezing the Charmin, Kinvara Pro, definitely squeezed the Charmin on that one. And for the Triumph RFG, Run for Good, the corn-based one, definitely squeezed the Charmin. I don't think I did any of the bendy ones or twisties. I didn't do bendy or twisty for any shoes at TRE. But for basically all the Adidas shoes, I think I could say this. For all the Adidas shoes, I did the squeeze the heel just to see how like soft it would be, like how much does it compress, you know? So, Mark Peterson says, I've seen a store that had a sign that said no flexing the carbon plated shoes. Oh, that's interesting. And, where'd it go? Someone said that Seth broke a plate. Where did that go? Someone said Seth broke a plate on a live stream, bending it one time. Oh boy. That's wild. Oh yeah, Martha says Seth broke a plate on a live stream doing that. Like squeezing, like trying to bend it. That's wild. I wonder how far he had to bend it to do that. That's fun. Eric says, I like to put the sole to my ear to see if I hear the trails in nature. It's useful. Someone said they smell the shoe. Where is it? Where'd that go? Someone said they smell the shoe. But I do think that is a valid test. But I don't smell the shoe. I will take the shoe. Let's see if I have a shoe. All right. I've got my Nova Blast 3s. So sometimes what I will do is I'm like, how breathable is this? I'll breathe through it. If you could breathe through it easily, it's a breathable shoe. And another testament to breathability of shoe, long term, this shoe does not smell bad. And don't worry, I do have my sense of smell. I've always had my sense of smell. Doesn't smell bad. So if it's a material that holds on to sweat, and also is not breathable, it'll stink a lot easier. But this one's very breathable. That's just in my used shoe pile. There's a big pile over there. I should show you guys sometime. It's so messy down here, though. That's the thing. It's not. No one will want to do a behind the scenes tour of this studio. I got to get it fixed up. It's just a dude in a basement at this point down here. All right. I think that's a good place to leave it there for today, guys. This is devolving at this point. But man, what matters to Matt says, would it be weird to do the whole breath shoe test in store? I don't think so. I think you could totally do it. I would do it. If I'm buying a shoe for the summer, I would do it. If I'm buying a shoe for the winter, I care a little bit less. But yeah, go for it. All right. Yeah, that's going to be it for today, guys. Tomorrow, I don't think I'm going to have a video ready for tomorrow. I think the next video is going to be the race recap. And then after that, I'll do Polar Ignite 3, which I'm not super excited about. And I think by then, after those two videos, then I think we'll be ready to run again. We'll start talking about Tokyo, because maybe my A6 person will be back from honeymoon. I'll have some more details. But yeah, but either way, tomorrow we'll do another live stream. Same time as today, 1 p.m. Central Time. Hopefully I see you then. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.